write the equation of the trig function for the following graphs. Okay, so we're going the other way around. They've already graphed everything out. Now we've got to figure out, well, what is the equation? Okay, so we have to decide first, is this cosine or sine? Well, the truth is we can have an argument for either. If I started here and went to here, you can see that there's a sine graph there. Okay, but if I started at the origin, right, and went to pi, you can see a cosine graph. So the question is, which one would you prefer? Well, if I start at the origin and get a cosine graph, then I haven't shifted to the left or to the right. So that kind of seems like it might be an easier one to work with. So because we have, we're starting at the origin and we get a cosine graph, I'm going to pick it. Okay? The other one would work, but this one I think will be easier to deal with. So let me erase the old one, the red line there. Okay. All right, so now we need to come up with the pieces of information that we need. In order to write our graph, right, we need A, we need B, and then we need to know if there are any H's or K's, right? Okay, so A comes from the amplitude, so let's see, can we tell the amplitude from the graph? Well, from the top of this wave to the x-axis is a distance of 2, and from the x-axis to the bottom of this wave is also a distance of 2. So that means since it's the same on both, then our amplitude is 2. Okay, now cosine starts off up and goes down. That's the normal path of it, so we know that our A value was positive 2. Okay. All right, the period. We remember my little note to you guys was B would equal 2 pi over P. Okay, so if we can figure out what the period is, we can figure out what B is. All right, so let's see. We started here at 0, and we went all the way out to pi. So that means my period is pi. Okay, so period is pi. So 2 pi divided by pi is 2. So B equals 2. All right, so now let's take a look. Did we shift to the left or right? We did not, because we're here at the original y-axis. And then our x-axis is was dead center, right? Because we went down 2 and up 2, so we didn't shift up or down. So that means we don't have, or H and K are both 0. So A being 2, cosine, B also 2, and then X because H and K were 0. All right, there's our equation. Okay, on number 4, okay, go through the same process. All right, first we need to decide, are we going to call this a sine graph or a cosine graph? Again, I go to the origin, and I notice that from the origin, I have a sine graph. So I'm going to use sine. All right. Since I did not shift from the origin, right, that means my H value is 0. Okay. Then let's see, what about K? Did I shift off of here? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Nope, I did not shift that way, so K is also equal to 0. Okay, and now that I've counted it out, my amplitude is 3. Okay, my period, I've kind of marked that off too, right? I went from 0 here all the way to 4. Okay, so my period is 4. Now I want to find out, well, what are A and B, because that's the last two things I need to check on. Okay, A is this is the absolute value, so I've got to decide, does sine normally go down or does it normally go up? Well, quick check of any sine graph, you could even type it in your calculator, sine x, right, would show that it goes up originally. So this would have been a -3 value. Okay, B, remember, is 2 pi divided by p, which in this case is 4. So that's going to be pi over 2. Okay. Those were the only two things we needed, so we put that together. -3 sine pi over 2 x. All right, we got one more to look at. All right, so looking here, we're on the origin at -4. So it's a little harder to see because if we come out this way, right, the graph ends before it's a complete cycle of anything. But if we were to pick up here, if we kind of wrap around where 2 pi touches -2 pi, we would see our completion, right, of cosine. All right, so I'm saying that from -2 pi to 2 pi is a complete cycle. So that's a distance of 4 pi. So my period is 4 pi. Okay, the amplitude. All right, well, let's see. If I count from the top of this wave down to the x-axis, that is a distance of 4. If I go from the bottom of this one up to the x-axis, that is also 4. So I've got, that's telling me my h value was, that tells me my k value is 0. My h value is 0 because I began here at the y-axis. Okay, so I need to figure out what's my amplitude. Oh, I counted that out already. It's 4. Okay, now the question is, does cosine, right, since we selected this to be a cosine, does cosine begin at and go up, or does it usually go down? Okay, it happens that it goes down normally. So since this one's going up, that means we reflected. So A would have to have been -4. Okay, B is 2 pi divided by P. So 2 pi divided by 4 pi, which is 1/2. Okay, so -4 cosine 1/2 x. Awesome. Now get busy on A3-3.